also, I mean, I know you played sports, you played football. How was your journey? I'm gonna tell you how I remember this, man. I remember watching TV one day. It was Sportscenter, and I believe you had
Yeah,
a one hand catch. Was it
yeah,
against? Was it against Henderson?
that was against Henderson. That
So
was
that make
when
it
I
even worse
Battle
or
of
better.
Ravine.
You know, I went to
Yeah,
Henderson, so even worse. So the
yeah,
one hand catch.
that was the last game of my collegiate career. In the Battle of Ravine, and that was one of the catches that would made sports in the top 10, and kind of gave us that win, and actually took the Washita program to the next level after that point because we started getting more recruits. Got that notoriety for Washita, not
Right,
Henderson, but Washita.
right.
It kind of took the program to the next level.
And then
But
so
yeah,
so
yeah. I'm sorry. My
no,
journey, like it was shaky, and it was kind of different than the rest. I was projected to get drafted in the fifth round, and it was one of those things where I retore a ligament in my thumb, like at the All-Star game, the D2 All-Star game, and I also didn't run the 40-yard dash because I was advised by my agent that I had just hired like 2 months prior not to run. And during those times, you have hundreds of scouts. I would probably never be in front of 100 scouts, you know, here at Washita for my pro day. And it was one of those things I had an opportunity and I had an obligation to run, but I took the advice of an agent and he told me not to run. So when it came my time to run, I had to stand up in front of all the agents and tell them, hey, my agent advised me not to run. And so after the fact, one of the scouts for the Baltimore Ravens came up to me and was like, why didn't you run? I was like, I was advised not to. And he was like, so you let somebody that you've only known for 2 months advise you against doing something you've been doing your whole life. And it
mm,
was a fast track. And I'm a natural 4-4 guy. And it's one of those things where had I run, I probably would have went fifth round like I was projected to. But then again, I end up being, I slipped to being an undrafted free agent. So watching the draft, going undrafted, getting a call from the Dolphins after the draft, asking me if I were signed. But I was like, no, I haven't signed. Nobody's called me. And so they was like, okay, just hang tight. We're probably gonna call you back. And so back on campus in Washington, I was in one of my kinesiology classes and I got the call from the Dolphins again. So I left class. I told my professor, I was like, I have to take this call. I left class and then they were asking me again, so you still unsigned? Well, we're gonna sign you, to our roster. But he was like, I'm just waiting for confirmation from the general manager and then we'll go from there. So they hung up and I'm going back in class. I'm like telling my professor, like, I'm about to get signed. I'm excited. Then I get the call back again, and they told me that they signed another receiver, Brandon Marion
wow.
from he was from Tulsa. So they signed another wide receiver. So I'm like, so where do I go from here? And it was just one of those things where they would just like keep training, keep working out, and maybe something may come about. So I left class and I went straight home. I went to Newport, and I remember going into my house and my mom like, what's wrong? And I kind of like broke down. I was like, I had an opportunity of a lifetime, and now it's up in the air. Like I don't know. Like I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna get that opportunity again. I don't know if they're gonna call back. I don't. I'm just kind of like I don't know what to do, mom. And it was just one of those things where she kept telling me like, just give it to God, put it in His hands, just keep doing what you're doing, baby, and everything's gonna be all right. But then the next day, she's telling me you might want to go put an application in out here where I work.
That's the mom
And
right
I'm
there.
like, once she said that, and then hearing that from a couple of other family members, I was like, no, that's exactly what I'm not gonna do. I'm not coming back to Newport. I'm not about to work in the factory. I'm not going to the steel mill. I'm not doing any of that. So I started like everywhere I went from that time forward, I ran. Like it was a way to kind of clear my mind, like kind of just to get away from everything. So if I needed to go to the store, I ran. And whether it's 2, 5 miles, whatever, however the distance, I ran. And it's just one of those things where I eventually got a call back, and then I got a workout with the Dolphins, and it was me and another guy, James Robinson, who was a former CFL guy, who's from a natural 4'2", 4'3" guy, right? He's 6'4", 230. So me and him, we're in the tryout, like basically going hand in hand. I'm in front of the entire coaching staff and the front office personnel, and after the workout, they told me that they were going to sign James. But they told me also that they've never had a workout where two guys were so neck and neck. And then like I made it hard. But it was one of those things that was like, but he ran a 4'3". He's 6'4", and it was like, what can we do? Like they were trying to find speed, so they end up signing him. And then the same thing, like I had to pack up, head back to Newport. And it's like, did I just just miss another opportunity? And so, the same thing. I get back home, I'm running everywhere. I'm staying at it, staying committed to it, steady, not listening to my family telling me to go get a job and do this and this and that. And then September 7th, I finally get a call from Brian Gain, the player personnel director for the Dolphins, and he offered me a position on the practice squad. Mind you, I didn't have to go through training camp, none of the mini camps, nothing. Like right when the season was starting, I got the call to be on practice squad. And so September 7th, he was asking me, he said, how soon can you get here? I was like, I can leave tonight. And from that moment forward, I've been in Miami,
Wow. It's crazy. So what was the window of time between like the draft and then you actually getting there?
It was because the draft was what, March. The trial was in April. And then let me see. No, the draft was in March. I believe, yeah, the draft was in March. And then so it was March, April, May, June, July. So it's basically from March, and I didn't get the final call until September. So it was all those months in between of kind of just working out, grinding, running everywhere. Like you kind of, just staying at it, staying committed and trying to stay focused on the goal, trying to stay focused on the goal. And so, and like, obviously I left school because it was one of those things where I didn't, I just I couldn't focus. And it was just one of those things where the opportunity was so rich and so not even rich, just one of those things. It was the opportunity of a lifetime. And even, Coach Knight had, advised me to, because once I had signed up to be in the draft, kind of schooling was out the window anyway, and so, but I did, I'm jumping way ahead, but I did finish here in May 8th, 2020. I finally finished my degree. So I went back and finished what I left behind. But at that time, I left it all behind to chase something that I really, really wanted.
That was going to be I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
That was going to be my question. Did you put school on ice? And you said you did, but how far into school were you when you put it on ice to pursue the NFL?
I had 16 hours left. So basically just one semester. Yeah.
Okay.
One semester. Yeah. And so it took me from 2011 years with just 16 hours to finally finish it up this past year.
Finished.
Yeah.
But you finished.
But I finished.
Yeah. Okay.